Alright, so this is one of the last videos of my older collection that I'm going to do. As you can see, I'm kind of not in my normal setup. I'm right now next to my Christmas tree in my living room because this is a Christmas-related video, so I figured I'd get a little bit in the holiday spirit. I am recording this on my phone too, so forgive the audio or the video quality. I just figured this is kind of festive, so it'd be fitting for the video. And as I've said about my other older ones, it's kind of very highly opinionated, so some people may like this one, some people may not. But I enjoyed it and I enjoyed making it, so just another one to add to that collection. And I think, again, this is the second to last one that's going to be coming up. And after this, it's all new stuff. So I appreciate all the support. Thank you for subscribing, and I hope you enjoy this one too. The holidays are upon us. It's time for gift giving, decorations, and fat guys in red suits. It's also time to bust out those Christmas movies you love so much. And don't think about the rest of the year. Though we all have a different Christmas film that is our go-to for the holiday season, whether it be Elf, The Grinch, A Christmas Story, this is the time of year to watch them. Now, with that being said, as one of the most popular holidays of the year, there aren't only films based on it, but also based around it. With Christmas as the primary setting, it begs the argument if that film is actually a Christmas movie. One of the biggest topics of this discussion is, of course, the movie Die Hard. And that is a film that gave me the inspiration for this list. So I put together 12 films set around Christmas, but aren't about Christmas. So I put this list together following 3 basic rules. Rule number 1, the criteria I followed revolves around the premise of a true holiday movie. Being that there is some sort of magic and wonder and lots of Christmas-themed concepts in the story, think films like The Santa Claus, A Christmas Carol, Christmas with the Cranks. These films are very strong with the holiday, and I use these films to guide my choices for this list. Rule number 2, because of rule number 1, that means these films had to be void of the majority, if not all, of these ideas that create a true Christmas film. When it comes to what the film is really about, Christmas has to be in the foreground. There's no magic, there's no Christmas spirit, it's completely separate from what a real Christmas movie is supposed to be. And rule number 3, of course, for a list like this, there are no year restrictions. However, there could not be any genre restrictions either. When you do the research on a topic like this, you discover a lot of films that have Christmas as a theme. But these films aren't always Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So, the true to that film's genre will usually be completely different from most of these films. Let's get into it. First up, Batman Returns from 1992. Being the second film in the well-renowned Tim Burton Batman films, it's hard for me to even talk about Christmas and not mention this movie. From the decorations scattered around Gotham, to the scene where the lady falls off the roof into the giant Rockefeller-like tree in the center, to the penguins. So many penguins. And this film is truly not a Christmas movie. Of course not. It's a Batman movie. It's about him going up against the Penguin and Catwoman. It's crazy how Die Hard is the talking point about whether or not a film is a Christmas movie, and this one sometimes isn't. Next up, The Long Kiss Goodnight from 1996. An extremely random Geena Davis and Samuel Jackson film. Though actually packed with a lot of strong Christmas themes, it's actually more about the character of Geena Davis, who has amnesia, and eventually snaps back into reality. Learning she used to be a trained killer, but is now a stay-at-home mom, and her old life is coming after her. It's a lot of fun and definitely worth its 90s glory if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, even though there's strong Christmas themes, it's not a Christmas movie. Next, Rocky IV from 1985. Though it is only part of the third act in the film, it is really the main focus of the entire thing. No one talks about Rocky IV and doesn't talk about the Drago fight. Who does that? No one, that's who. And it takes place in Russia during the winter, so the snowy background sets it up for the big fight it's leading up to. This might be a little bit of a stretch, but when the focal point of the film is based around an almost 30-minute fight that takes place on Christmas Day, specifically mentioned in the film itself, it has to be mentioned here. Following that up with Last Christmas from 2019, a more recent film and starring the lovely Emilia Clarke. This is definitely a film you wouldn't expect to really not be about Christmas. Her character works in an ornament store, she dresses up as an elf, and there is literally Christmas everywhere in the foreground. But this is really a love story. I mean, no, that's not all it is, but It really gets crazy, and I can't really explain too much without spoiling it, and I'm not looking to do that with this list. But if you want a really good, heartwarming movie with a bit of a crazy twist that kind of revolves around the holiday, I would recommend this if you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, it's not a Christmas movie. Let's follow that one up with The Ref from 1994, one of my favorite, if not the best, Denis Leary film of his prime. The Ref is a film not spoken about often, and I feel it deserves way more credit. Granted, its humor probably isn't for everyone, but it's a fun movie nonetheless. And it's got two really big themes: crime and family dysfunction, between the husband and wife's marriage falling apart, the husband being played by Kevin Spacey, the blackmailing son, the witch of a mother, and the controlling aunt and her side of the family, adding in the thief on the run holding them all hostage. It has so many funny moments. And the entire film takes place the night of Christmas Eve. That's why they're all in the house together. It's a bit of a heartfelt story where the thief, played by Leary, helps them with their family issues. It's another great 90s gem that should really be talked about more. But it's definitely not a Christmas movie.
Great. I just beat up Santa Claus.
Now let's talk about Friday After Next from 2002. To me, nothing will ever beat the original Friday. It goes down as one of the best comedies of all time. It's a classic. Of course, Hollywood, being Hollywood, they turned it into a franchise. Well, it only has 3 films thus far, but a 4th installment apparently is still in the works. And this installment is heavily set around Christmas, when Craig and Day Day are robbed by a fake Santa Claus. Of course, it only takes place over the course of the one day. It just so happens to be Christmas, but there is no Christmas anything. There's pimps, there's parties, there's barbecue, but this literally has nothing to do with Christmas. Next up, Eyes Wide Shut from 1999, a classic Stanley Kubrick film, and many argue what the underlying message of the film is: being adultery, cult phenomena, paranoia, all of the above. Kubrick always hid messages in his films, but the one thing this film isn't is a Christmas movie. It starts, of course, at a Christmas party and escalates over the course of 2 or 3 days, I believe. So it takes place on or around the Christmas period, but of course, those who have seen it, there is only one man in a red outfit, and he ain't jolly. Let's follow that one up with Lethal Weapon from 1987, one of the greatest buddy cop film series of all time. The first installment is hands down the best. The on-screen chemistry Danny Glover and Mel Gibson share with their quick wit and excellent one-liners makes you believe in their friendship. And this first film is heavily set around the Christmas time. One of the opening scenes is Mel Gibson's character conducting a drug bust at a Christmas tree farm. Everything in the foreground and the scenery tells you it's Christmas. But no, the film is about drugs and mercenaries. Next up, Black Christmas. Any of them. Whether it be the original from 1974, the remake in 2006, or the most recent one in 2019, which I haven't seen yet, but don't let the name fool you. This literally has nothing to do with Christmas. A killer escapes an insane asylum and goes back to his childhood home, which has been turned into a sorority house. So he breaks in, hides in the attic, and starts killing them one by one. If it didn't take place on Christmas, I doubt it would be called Black Christmas at all. Let's follow that one up with Edward Scissorhands from 1990. Another example that kind of falls into the same premise as Rocky IV, being that only the third act is really about Christmas. The entire climax of this film is the most memorable part. It's another Tim Burton classic, and I think there was a theme for his first few films, being that they were based around Christmas and his idea of the outcasted character. It's funny to see how they all have something to do with Christmas one way or another. It's kind of interesting to think about. But yeah, this one isn't a Christmas movie. Let's follow that one up with Gremlins from 1984. Probably one of the better examples since the film starts on Christmas Day and moves forward from there. But even though it's the gift that is the adorable gizmo, the entire movie is literally about what happens when you get him wet. It's a comedy horror at heart, and its plot forwarding device is a Christmas gift. I don't know if many people count this as a Christmas movie at all. I think it's okay if you do, but it's definitely not a Christmas movie. And last but not least, Jingle Jangle, A Christmas Journey from 2020. I just watched this film the other day because it looks like a great film, and it definitely lives up. For those who liked The Greatest Showman, this definitely fills a void of wanting more of that. The music is great, it's fun, it's entertaining, and is promoted as being a Christmas movie, but really, getting down to the core premise of the story, it really isn't. It's about betrayal, family, moving on, and maybe even overcoming depression in a way. But just because it's based around Christmas, and the guy's name happens to be Jangle, there is a lot of missing jingle in the story. Even the music has little to nothing to do with Christmas. But it is still an extremely fun movie, and you should totally watch it. You could also check out my podcast where I have an entry up that discusses the film a little more in depth. You can find the link for that down in the description. Now, I wanted to do 12 films to tribute to the 12 Days of Christmas. Yeah, I'm creative, but I have 2 quick honorable mentions I feel I should say, and it might lead to some writing in the comment section, so let's get it out of the way. First, Jingle All The Way from 1996. Okay, hear me out for a second. I know this is probably closer to a Christmas movie than the others, but if you really try and nail down what the movie is truly about, it's really about
consumerism.
A father needs to get this particular action figure for his kid for Christmas, and it's a long string of antics he goes through to get it, because it would break his son's heart if he didn't. With the Terminator himself giving us a lot of comedic gold,
Put that cookie down now!
and many supporting actors to boot, it is essentially a story of family and love, and of course,
consumerism.
And yes, it could be more of a Christmas film than the others, but there's really no magic or wonder or really any Christmas spirit as those of other Christmas films. Unless you consider a Christmas theme to be the headache of Christmas shopping and the feeling of defeat when you can't get the gifts you know your kids want. Does that make it a Christmas movie? I don't know. You can decide that. And lastly, Home Alone. As great of a film as it is, and yes, I would say it is a Christmas film, it really isn't about Christmas. It's about a 10-year-old getting left at home, and he's smart enough to go food shopping. He's smart enough to have normal conversations with people and make them believe that he's not by himself. And he's smart enough to stop a couple of robbers with some ingenious traps that are a lot more dangerous in real life than the comedic world of the film. I know it's renowned as one of the classic Christmas movies of the 90s, but when you break it down to the brass tacks of it all, is it really a Christmas movie? Is it? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. If you know any other movies I didn't mention here that aren't about Christmas, but take place on or around Christmas, leave those in the comments as well. As always, thank you for watching this video. It's always appreciated. If you like this video, click like, share it with your friends as a holiday surprise, and give some of these films a chance if you haven't already. If you aren't subscribed, now's a great time to do so. I'm getting back into the swing of things, so new videos will be coming back frequently. Your support is always grateful. My name is Jesse, and if Flix could talk, here's what they would say.